Okay, now it's working.
All right.
Don't know why. No, I don't have a name. We need to come up with a name for the show.
Well, most podcasts, they usually get the title of their episode during the recording of the show, so...
Well, I mean, we're going out live over the air right now, and we're recording the podcast, so I guess at some point during the show, we will come up with a name.
And we'll have to come up with something.
I hate Total Recall. That's a good name for the show.
No, it's not a good name for the show.
That is probably... I'll give you what I think about the show, and then you tell me what you thought about it.
Okay. You mean the movie, not the show.
Not the... Yeah. This show is, just a show. Anyway, it was the worst movie I've seen this year. I have seen Sci-Fi Channel originals that make more sense than this movie. In fact, Mansquito, the very first Sci-Fi Channel original, is more scientifically accurate than the entire Total Recall movie.
Mansquito.
Remember Mansquito?
I'm trying to forget
it's
you
where
just said it.
A man is genetically engineered to have mosquito traits, which is more realistic than drilling a hole through the core of the Earth where it's 13,000 degrees and dropping a building through the Earth at 60,000 miles per hour.
But you got to ask yourself, which looked cooler on camera?
See, you believe that the CGI...
No. CGI is good when used properly, not overly done.
Well, it wasn't overly done.
It was
the
a tool
CGI
needed.
was perfect. The CGI, it was perfect. It was great. Looked wonderful.
It did look good.
The movie made no sense whatsoever.
The movie did make sense. You're just harping on little things like that. That was just like a side story, really.
Okay.
They only showed
the main
twice.
story. The main story. Let's. It's Quaid trying to find the leader of the Resistance. When he finds the leader of the Resistance, he's asking him, I know the secret to how to turn the robot army off. If you can restore me to my former self, I will be able to help you. And then the leader of Resistance says, there is no former self. You are only the present self. You cannot be returned to the former self because you can only live in what is the present. However, I have a recall machine over here, and I'll fix you and turn you back into your former self. It made no sense. You remember that conversation?
The scene with the Resistance leader, the guy from Underworld.
Yes.
What's his name? Bill Nye?
Yeah. I think he might have even been the one of the Hogwarts characters, too.
That guy's in a lot of shit. I do remember that scene.
It made no sense.
It's a sci-fi movie.
I'm not going to help you because I can't help you, but wait a minute, here's the machine.
No. They used the machine to extract the shit out of his head. As soon as they turned it on, the first thing they started to look, they weren't caring about Quaid. They popped it up and started looking for that fucking code. And then they see there's something wrong. Oh shit, he's a sleeper agent. Like however many times this kid's been or this guy's been recalled or whatever. Oh, fuck, he's a Trojan horse.
And that's just the part of the story, though, that I think doesn't make sense. Let's talk about the fail.
The what?
Remember they called the building that dropped through the earth the Falls? Or the Fall?
Yeah.
Well, they misspelled it by one letter. It's the fail.
Oh, Jesus.
Can you tell me how, just after a global apocalypse, that these people can dig a hole through the center of the earth and then drop a building through it, back and forth, taking 17 minutes to travel from Australia to Great Britain?
Did they even, in the movie, did they clarify what time in history this is?
Yes, it's 2084.
Okay, there's a problem. But still, it's only a movie.
Okay.
As we see now, there's no way to do it. In that movie, or in that realm, or the movie it is made in, we do not know what technology they had. They never said it. It just happened. It's in the past. It's like that monkey from The Lion King. It's in the past, John. Don't worry about it.
But if they had the technology to do this, I mean, we're talking about the core of the earth, which is as hot as the surface of the sun.
Exactly. Yes, I know this.
So they had to have some kind of metal that would not melt in the sun. They had to dig an 8,000-mile tunnel. They had to have some kind of propulsion system that would get that that building up to 60,000 miles per hour. If it was traveling straight up and down without stopping, it could have done it in 30,000, but it had to speed up and slow down at the end. So it had to be going at least 60,000 in the middle. There was air in the tunnel. It wasn't airtight. So there's friction. This thing is moving 60,000 miles per hour, and there's friction.
Did
and
it
it's not
say
burning
that's how
up.
fast it was going?
It had to. It's 8,000 miles in 17.3 minutes. It's 500 miles a minute. That's how fast it is going to be 17 minutes. 500 miles a minute. 30,000 miles an hour at the minimum if it's continually going. But to speed up and slow down, it's going to have to be going about 60,000 miles per hour. Not only is it going through air, the people are able to walk around inside of it, ignoring centrifugal force. They were able to crawl out on the outside of it and crawl around, ignoring friction, centrifugal force, and heat. So these people are magical because heat doesn't bother them, centrifugal force doesn't bother them, and nothing bothers. They're immune to virtually everything. Then, when they get to the core of the Earth, gravity turns off and on like a light switch. You do realize as they get closer to the center, gravity gets less and less and less until there is no gravity. Then it gets more and more and more until there is gravity. Well, it doesn't turn off and on like a light switch where you're floating through the air 1 second and the next second you fall to the floor and smash your head.
Even if they're going that fast?
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. If they were going that fast, you'd be weightless for like a quarter of a second as you sped through the core of the Earth at 500 miles per second.
But it wouldn't have looked as cool. You couldn't have had that cool scene when they were all floating for a split second. He grabs a gun and just mows everybody down.
No, you couldn't have had that scene because that scene doesn't make any sense
but
physically
it
or
looked
scientifically.
Awesome! It was a sci-fi movie.
Sci-fi means
Well,
it
okay.
has science. Science has to be correct. It can't just make up science.
See, that's where you're wrong. It's a science fiction movie. It's not
No.
a science movie. If
It's a
science
fantasy movie.
Well, okay, fine, it's a fantasy movie, but it looks like a sci-fi movie.
Because the only way that they got that ship to do that is some Hogwarts wizard was standing on it with a wand making it do what it does.
Fine, Dumbledore was on the production team. I don't care. It looked really fucking awesome. Look at some other shit we've had come out this year.
Okay.
It looked, I mean, as far as a movie went, I went to a movie.
The Watch. The Watch was better than this movie.
No, that couldn't. I've just seen the trailer and that looks like shit. That's me personally.
I hated that movie, but I thought it was better than this movie.
Oh God, no! Come on.
I don't even see how you could even
You go to a
defend
movie.
this movie.
You go to a movie to escape for a while, to get away from reality.
But I can't get away from reality when the science is so wrong.
God.
It's like it's like they're trying to educate people to be morons.
Okay. This is the way it should be, John. This Sunday, when we land on Mars.
Actually, today.
Today.
Tonight.
If we land on Mars.
If it doesn't crash and
if it hasn't,
explode. But that would be, as we were said earlier in a private conversation, if it explodes in a nuclear explosion on the surface of Mars,
and there's a mushroom cloud.
and there's a mushroom cloud, we will be. I hate to say it, we'll be just as happy because it'll be a fucking great thing to see.
That will be epic on another planetary scale.
Either way, if it just crashes and doesn't do anything, then it's not that epic.
True.
But if it lands and finds some life, that's epic too. On the same scale as the nuke. But
look, when they land this rover or attempt to land the rover, if they were to do something not scientific, I could understand you bitching because that's real life. But this is a movie. You go to a movie. I went to that movie wanting to be entertained, and I was entertained on many levels. You had fantastic sets, wonderful props, fucking Kate Beckinsale and Jessica Biel beating the shit out of each other. That was a really nice scene.
what? Okay. We realize it, and I want to ask you this as a serious question.
Okay.
They say in the movie that they can't fly to other places because of the chemical warfare has made everywhere uninhabitable except for Australia and Great Britain.
You mean on planet?
On the planet,
Not
yes.
off planet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Did it not bother you that they're walking around in the contaminated zone? I have a phone call.
Oh, hell.
Oh, we have a caller. I don't know who it is. Hold on. Hello? Oh, it's Georgia. How are you doing? Do you want to? Are you coming by? Yeah, we're doing the podcast right now. You're probably they probably can't hear you because you didn't call in on Skype. If you had called in on Skype, we could have heard you. But yeah, well, but come on over and you can join in on the podcast. Okay, we'll see you in a minute. Bye. Okay, that was the caller. This is what I was about to ask you. Did it not bother you that these chemical areas are so bad? You can't fly an airplane through them. You can't, take a boat through them. There's nothing you can do to get through them. But the resistance lives in the chemical area, and the only thing they need to do to walk through the chemical area is use a gas mask. They're not wearing a mop suit, a full suit to take away the chemicals. They're wearing a gas mask.
Did you see them living outside with
no,
the gas
they live
mask?
inside a building.
They walk from the sealed building, an airlock, to a vehicle with an airlock.
If the chemicals are so bad you can't fly an airplane.
Well, dude, from 100 feet between two buildings is a lot different from flying.
There's no difference between being in a building in a sealed environment than being in an airplane in a sealed environment.
Airplanes have turbines.
No, airplanes have jet engines.
Which
or
have
rockets. In fact, it would have been cheaper to build rocket planes to fly up out of the atmosphere and down to Australia every day than to dig a impossible hole through the center of the Earth. In fact, they could have built a bridge to Mars, and it would have been more scientifically accurate than what they did.
Comparing this one to the first one.
The first one was so much better.
Well, I agree. The first one was better.
No. The first one was on another plateau, an entirely different planet, in fact.
Only because Arnold's quotes were in it.
Arnold is the best.
I went into this wanting some of the old stuff in this one, and some of it was cool, like the hooker with the three tits. That was.
But did you not think that she was the worst actress in the entire movie?
You were paying attention to her acting?
I've listened to what she said.
Oh, dude, no, come on.
Do you want some fun? A recall is there.
Were you watching the same movie I was?
I watched the same. And another thing, how many white people lived in the colony? 3? The three-breasted hooker, Quaid, and his wife, who weren't even really people in the colony. They actually are from Great Britain. Everyone else is a minority. So you're telling me that every
minority... Did you not
minority...
keep seeing those signs every once in a while that said Bank of New Asia?
Yes, but how
all
this
the
whole
Asian...
this whole movie is about how the evil white British people who were run by America, because the Americans were the president and whatever he was, are enslaving the poor innocent brown people that live in Australia. I don't even know how they were enslaving them. Why did they go to work? Why were they going to work? What were they giving them?
I would say pay. They mentioned credits. Quaid said he was over his quota.
What are you buying? I mean...
they live in an apartment, probably rent, food, necessities.
Could they not make the necessities in Australia? It's a lot bigger country than Great Britain and what showed on the map.
Well, they only showed that one little section that around the...
Well, they showed that the entire Australia was fine.
But
and then,
how much of that Australia was Australia as we know it, or is it like Coruscant? Because everything right there around that fucking machine,
well, for one thing,
looked like Coruscant.
Great Britain, which is in the real world a perpetually rainy, foggy, dreary place, was sunny. The entire
2084
was sunny
after
the entire
apocalypse.
the entire time. Australia, which is a subtropical country and tropical in some parts, was a rainy mess.
Yeah, after
a global chemical war. How did that make the sun move?
Who knows? In this world, they didn't explain a lot of things, but sometimes that's cool because it leaves you up to make your own decisions about it.
Everything about this movie, the political themes alone.
See, and when I go into movies, I don't want to think about political stuff. It's real life.
I understand.
I want to get away from it.
But the movie is political. The movie as political propaganda.
I agree, it did. But
I mean, this movie was Bad Whitey fights other Bad Whitey, and the Bad Whitey in Great Britain is George Bush faking terror attacks so he can invade the brown country and steal all their resources. Would you not agree that is the premise of the movie?
Well, it is, but if they were in such control, why didn't they just double their shifts, which they were doing anyway, make more of said robots, and do it anyway? Why was all the terrorist
I don't know why
attacks needed?
I don't even know why the terrorists. It's bull. It's the whole movie makes no sense. Plus,
If they didn't even need the colony, why didn't they just shut down? At that point, they could have shut off the damn tunnel and said, "Fuck you."
If you're faking the terrorist attacks and the terrorists aren't actually doing anything, why even try to capture the terrorists?
Well, there wasn't even terrorists; they were resistance fighters.
I know, but what were they resisting?
Well, they wanted
Double shifts?
Depends on where you work. I don't like double shifts.
I don't like double shifts either, but it's not like they were... I don't think they were forcing these people to work double shifts. I don't know. I don't even understand the whole...
Unless that was the only job he could have, could get.
Well, that's sad.
Look how it is now.
I understand.
I mean, I cannot
but I'm
stand
not
my
rebelling
fucking
against
job.
the country because I work a double shift, I can understand if they're going around killing people or, some kind of, despotic, regime. But obviously, really didn't see much. There were stormtroopers. That's another problem I have.
What?
The stormtroopers, the people they're in full, they're full armor.
They
basically.
didn't even really show that many people in the white riot gear when I sat there and watched it, but they showed a shitload of those white armored robots, which were badass.
But every person in the white riot gear was a bad shot, and the armor did nothing. You shot right through it.
You're going to have to get over this. That's a staple of movies these days. It's been written into movie code. It's going to happen.
So white armor represents... It's not bulletproof.
It doesn't matter. It happens in all movies, no matter what color
No,
the
it
armor
happens
is. White
in
just stands out more.
George Lucas movies.
Oh, of course it happens in
And this
Lucas's
guy
movies.
stole Lucas. I mean, as much stuff as Lucas has stole over the years, I have no problem with him stealing some Lucas. But it was
Compare Stormtrooper armor to these battle droid things we saw in this movie. They look pretty badass.
Well, these battle droids were actually better than the battle droids in Star Wars.
Oh, well, there was battle droids in Star Wars?
Well, in the Episode 1 nonsense.
They made it in Episode 1?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You refused to admit that those exist. Anyway.
No, 2 and 3 were pretty good compared to 1.
1 was one of the most... One was... It was horrible on the level of this Total Recall movie. In fact, this Total Recall movie reminds me a lot of Star Wars.
You're a crack addict.
The black Darth Vader droid at the end... You don't remember the...
Yeah, I do. It was the dude's personal damn bodyguard. Of course,
it
it's going to
was,
be colored differently.
because that was the Emperor Palpatine.
Oh, forgot. The dad from Malcolm in the Middle was Emperor Palpatine.
Yes, he was.
He was a corrupt
Cohagen.
politician, and that was
Well,
it. With no
that's
powers.
That's what Emperor Palpatine was, a corrupt politician. Powers, the Force. He had a bunch of midichlorians.
If you ever get a chance, and if you can actually get through it, Darth Plagueis, I forgot who wrote it, is not only one of the most boring Star Wars novels of all time, but you come to find out Palpatine has always been nothing but a whiny-ass little rich boy who happens to be good at politics.
So Cohagen, being a military guy, was not a whiny little rich boy.
They never really said that he was a whiny rich boy. Never said he really had money, except the fact that he was in
charge of everything.
In charge of everything. How did he come to power?
I don't know. He was an American. How does American become the ruler of the Federation of Great Britain, or whatever the hell?
How come you keep referring to Britain as Great Britain and the Federation of Britain?
Because that was the name of it in the movie. The United Federation of Britain, the UFB, was the name of the country.
I won't give him that satisfaction. It was fucking Britain. London.
Yes, but it was called in the movie the United Federation of Britain.
I can't say that. If I was in that movie, I'd be with the Resistance. I'm sorry. I know me.
If I was in that movie,
I'd have a shit job in the colony.
I would be working at Recall, I think, because that's about the only place in the real world you can find any reality. That movie was... Okay.
I don't even know if Speaking of Recall, I don't know how safe that shit was. Even if it had been done for 100 years with no problems, I'd still be worried I'm going to be the first fucking lobotomy.
Well, obviously, it was pretty common for people to be lobotomized by it. Oh, if you already have a mistress and we give you a mistress, you'll go insane. How is giving you a different... I'm not even going to go into the bad science with the recall, but that I don't know what else to argue about this movie. We differ on the movies. You love everything.
I don't love everything. You think I do. You pretty much hate everything. And that everybody knows that, John.
Yes, everyone knows that I hate most movies. But when I love a movie, that movie is a classic. It becomes a classic.
What movie? Name one movie you love.
Transatlantic Tunnel.
Okay, name one movie that was made within the last 20 years.
Star Wars. No, God, that's a 20
gotcha.
years. Hold on. The last 20 years. Let me think. What was 20 years ago? 1992.
You can't even say Jurassic Park.
No, I can't. And I would have said Jurassic Park too because I thought that was an almost not a perfect movie, but an almost perfect movie.
Yeah. The perfect movie would have been if they would have made just like the book, but what they made was great.
Oh man. Oh, Planet of the Apes, the new one, the newest one.
That was a really good movie.
That is one of the greatest movies made in the last 20. That is the greatest movie made in the last 20 years, bar none. At least sci-fi movie. I don't watch a lot of girly love movies
like I do.
I know, but what I'm saying is, as movies go that I watch, Planet of the Apes, the newest Apes movie is the best movie made.
That's a very good movie.
I had forgotten we've got Lord of the Rings, and those are in that 20-year time period. But honestly, while I enjoyed them, they're not great movies. Which brings me to the second thing I wanted to discuss: The Hobbit. The Hobbit movie.
I have not read The Hobbit. Sorry.
Oh my God!
It is in my planned reading before the movie comes out.
I will give you The Hobbit before you leave here today. I have 3 or 4 copies.
Okay.
But this is insane. You have not read The Hobbit.
I've never read. I watched the cartoon when I was a kid.
Okay.
I think it was on HBO or something when I was a child.
That cartoon is one of those almost perfect movies itself. It is the perfect cartoon. I am afraid for this movie. How do you make The Hobbit into 3 movies?
It's very simple. It's 2 elements. 1, New Line Cinema, and 2, money.
I understand.
They want to stretch it out. They saw how much money...
Let's not call it The Hobbit Trilogy. Let's call it The Hobbit.
Isn't The Hobbit one fucking book?
It's one small book. It should be called The Hobbit, plus Peter Jackson mines every other thing that J.R.R. Tolkien has ever done to make 2 more movies.
Do you think this is Jackson, or do you think he's stuck in a contract and New Line's making him do it?
No, I think it's Jackson.
Jackson does not need money.
Yeah, but
he is not.
He may not need money. He is not Lucas. Okay.
Lucas would definitely want money, more money.
You're right.
Lucas is the dude from Spaceballs. You know, the search for more money.
Lucas would make it 6 films. I mean, I love Star Wars.
With a holiday special.
I love the holiday special because I haven't seen it since 1978 or 9 or whenever it came out originally.
You should just hand me your nerd card right now, okay?
When I was 9 years old or 10 years old.
When I was 7 years old, I watched it and I was like, what the fuck is this shit?
I love
dancing in the Star Wars universe. No!
I loved it. I remember it fondly because I've never rewatched it and I never will rewatch it.
Ooh. No, there's reasons people don't buy it at conventions. There's reasons it's still the one DVD left when everyone's bought all the other porn parodies of the Avengers and everything else, and it's still sitting there because no one wants to see it.
Well, how do we go off on Lucas from The Hobbit?
Oh, money.
Money. I love money. I think money is the greatest thing ever. But Lucas, while I have no problem with his love of money, he had a vision. It was a great vision. And he ruined it because he really didn't care about it.
See, I don't know if it's because of that or the fact that he's always had his vision. And back when we were kids, his vision was really awesome.
Well, but Star Wars is not a great movie.
No, of course.
Empire is the great movie.
Empire is the best movie.
Bart. And he had very little to do with it.
Exactly. But shit, I lost it. Oh, his vision has always been the telling of Anakin Skywalker. That's what he said in many interviews. That's all he wanted to do was 6 movies, the telling of Anakin
And he
Skywalker.
screwed that
and
up.
I don't really
this-
fucking care anymore. Because all the other characters that we created, there are so many other characters in the Star Wars universe I care more about
I'm
than
sure-
goddamn fucking Darth Vader.
I'm sure you would like to see a Boba Fett movie.
I don't necessarily see a Boba Fett movie. It would be nice. I would love to see a movie of the Old Republic. When Yoda was in his fucking prime.
You know, I hate the Republic.
I know, but
I love the Empire.
see, that's what
The
we
Empire. The Empire is good.
They're run by Sith. Evil.
What
by
is
nature.
Sith? What is good and bad? What the Sith? Tell me some. I mean, the Sith outlaw slavery on Tatooine. The Sith run Jabba the Hutt from being the mayor or whatever he is of the town out into the desert where he has to hide because the Sith outlaw drug dealing, and that's what Han Solo is, a drug dealer.
Han Solo's not a drug dealer.
He's a drug
smuggler.
He's a drug smuggler, and the Empire has.
Which I'm not condoning. I'm just saying, let you know.
Well, see, I'm
what
trying
he
to
is.
show you, the rebellion was wrong.
No, they're not.
The Republic created clone slave soldiers to fight for it. The Republic was controlled by religious fanatics called the Jedi.
The Republic was not controlled by the Jedi.
Who made the decisions for the Republic, really? Do you really think that big council thing made the decisions, or do you think the Jedi pretty much?
Did you see the Jedi ever
I saw the Jedi enforcing their will on the Republic
when
they went to stop the Trade Federation from at the beginning of the first movie. Oh yeah, that movie doesn't exist for you. But
exactly.
The Jedi are nut job religious fanatics.
I'd probably say most, especially the older ones, are.
Yoda is a nut job religious fanatic.
Because he believes in the Force?
No, because he believes in the religious trappings of the Force. That the Force is some kind of good versus evil thing, rather than just a power to be used.
But to him, that's what it is.
But that's religious. And his religious ideas cloud the truth.
What truth?
The truth is that if it is midichlorians, if it's simply a bunch of bugs in your blood.
If you say that word one more time, this interview's over, sir. That does not exist in my realm.
Okay, so what is the Force?
It is the Force. The living Force. That's what Yoda taught us in 83. That's all we need to know.
If the Force is just this energy that people can tap into and
surrounds us.
That surrounds us and binds us. Then why can't you use it to, like, bring people back from the dead if it's possible? Or shoot Force lightning out of your hands against people that are against you? What's so evil about... What's the difference between, shooting somebody or killing somebody with a lightsaber, or Force choking them to death?
At that point in history, maybe that's what it was. Maybe later on, which we'll never fucking see it, thank you, George Lucas, it would change. People's
hey, in 70 years, this will all go public domain, and anybody can make a Star Wars movie. So just stick around for another 70 years, and you'll be good.
I'll try. My head will probably be in a jar like a Futurama. But
that's fine. Actually, I just saw a report that in 2045, the youth drugs will come on the market. So,
what was I saying?
Something about the Force. Maybe
in the future, maybe things will be more of the Jedi and the Sith will come together to form one. Whatever. But I had something I was trying to bridge it. Oh, it's kind of like with Green Lantern, which I hate to use DC, but with Hal Jordan and like Alan Scott, they couldn't use the ring against anything yellow. And I think it was what was his name, Kyle? What was the before Jon Stewart, the young guy?
Oh, I can't remember.
Well, when he got his ring,
Green Lantern fan.
Either him or Jon Stewart got it, and they used the ring on something yellow. in one issue. And I think it was Superman was like, what the hell? I thought you can't use it on anything yellow. And he's like, nobody told me.
Yeah, well, if
So in the future, a Jedi does use Sith lightning. Or just lightning. If he doesn't know it's bad,
that's
why
what
would it
I'm
affect
saying.
him?
But these religious fanatics are saying these things are bad.
Now, or in
Yes.
that world then, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yes.
But what about now?
Well,
Thousands of years later.
it's actually not thousands of years later.
Well,
if you go by the supplementary writings for that George Lucas has allowed, everything in the Star Wars universe happens in the early 1800s.
What, our time?
Yes, because in one of the comics, the Millennium Falcon crashes on Earth in an alternate Star Wars universe, and Chewbacca's the only one that survives, and he is Bigfoot.
Oh my god.
Yes, it's one of the supplementary Lucas allowed, because Chewbacca. Remember when Chewbacca? They were only allowing Chewbacca to be used in supplementary.
Chewbacca did not die then. Chewbacca died in that fucking. What was
When the
it?
moon fell on his head.
That's
Is
it.
that what
That's
we're
what I'm talking about.
talking about?
We've moved from, and this is Georgia who is joining the conversation.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, were we podcasting?
We are podcasting. We were podcasting about Total Recall and how much I hate it and Rob likes it.
That sounds like
Now we are podcasting about how I believe that the Sith are the good guys and the Rebellion are the bad guys.
huh.
And here are my points of why the Sith, the Empire, is good. The Empire outlawed slavery. The Empire stopped drug dealing from Tatooine. The Empire created thousands of jobs in the what they did. Who created? They created thousands of jobs for human beings or anyone who would take a job.
You're wrong right there. The Empire are fucking racist.
What? Because humans are mainly in the Empire.
That's because Palpatine only has humans in the Empire,
How
except for
many
Grand Admiral Thrawn.
non-humans are in the clone army, the slave clone army that the Republic used?
That's like the first trilogy. Then
How
you
much
get to the
money
second
did
trilogy.
the clone troopers make?
Who cares?
None. How much choice did the clone troopers get for being clone troopers? None. How much choice does a stormtrooper get? They have to join the academy. Luke was going to join the academy. They have to join the academy. They sign up and they get paid because Luke said they get paid.
Two different times.
No,
The clones
one
are
is
the-
under the Empire 20 years later, and one is under the Republic 20 years before.
Well, yeah, but the Republic was like failing by that point anyway. Like it was already in decline.
Well,
It
if
was,
we look at the
kind of,
Republic,
fading, so it
The
had lost
Republic
its
is made
power.
up of a lot of different planets, and they send their representatives. But these planets have kings and queens and princesses, tyrants ruling over their... What's the difference? What's the difference between having one centralized federal empire government and having a bunch of little kings and queens running your life? What I'm saying is the Republic is not good.
I always thought it'd be really hard for like one person to rule an entire planet anyway. Like I always think that's kind of interesting. In sci-fi genres in general, they do it in Star Wars and they do it in pretty much just about any sci-fi you can think of. They always have.
You know,
like,
Georgia, come closer, and we'll move over towards you
chair.
actually,
Oh, okay. Scoot in.
because you
Okay.
weren't getting picked up good.
Now you can hear me.
Yes.
They always have like one like unified idea for the planet, like
Yeah.
one identity, and
Technical
really,
difficulty.
Technical difficulties, people. Okay, I think that was
it always
even
seems
better.
like really like
Yeah.
over the top in a way. Like I think that would be really hard to accomplish in the first place. Not to, let alone having like one guy ruling the entire galaxy.
I think that, I mean, for movies, it's to simplify things.
Yeah.
I agree with you that doesn't make a lot of sense, much like Total Recall made no sense at all.
I haven't seen Total Recall, so I don't have an opinion on it either way.
Well, imagine a movie where you can dig a tunnel through the core of the Earth and
That's not the main focus.
drop a
of the movie.
building through the core of the Earth, and it takes 17 minutes to come out the other side, which means it's traveling at...
That was like the first 5 minutes of this movie, and he
The
must have
first 5
sat
minutes
there
of the movie
harped on it through the
is
whole
horrible.
movie, through everything else. He harped on that damn building going to the planet.
Come on. You
At the end of the movie, you were sitting there going, fucking building. Oh, it's over? Damn. I hate this movie.
Exactly.
Well, if you can't suspend your disbelief, and that's the first thing they show you, and then
Yes.
you can't get past that, then it makes it hard to enjoy the rest of the thing.
And you cannot suspend, or if you
No.
can, it's very far.
Had they said the building took hours and hours to travel from one side to travel the 8,000 miles, I could have probably thought, well, maybe they invented some kind of metal that can survive the temperatures of the sun, and they did dig a hole. Because I have no problem with an 8,000-mile tunnel. I actually believe that we could, if we wanted to, dig a tunnel from here to Europe.
An hour ago, you said we couldn't do that.
No, I didn't. I said we
Yeah, you
couldn't
did.
drill a hole through the center of the earth.
There would just be a tunnel along the crust.
Have we even looked to see if this was through the center of the earth?
Yes, it shows a picture of it going through the core of the planet in the movie. In fact, they say we're entering the core now.
You hate movies, John. You
No,
just hate movies.
I don't hate movies. I hate that movie. And I hate a lot of other movies. I have very high expectations for movies. Okay, we're off.
You should stop this because 9 times out of 10 you are so let down every time.
But
every
then that
time a
10th time, there's a movie like the new Planet of the Apes movie where I am floored by how great it is.
But it'll be 10 years again before you have that.
It's worth it. It's worth the wait.
God.
It really
You
is.
keep waiting around for like the perfect storm of movies.
Yes. And the new Superman movie will not be the perfect storm of movies. And you know why I thought of Perfect Storm?
Because it looks like he's on Deadly
Because
Sketch.
it looks like he's on Deadly Sketch. That will not... I'm sorry, I love Superman. The original Superman movie is one of the best superhero movies ever.
The sequel
made.
was one of the best.
And the sequel is even better.
The second one was good. The first
Yes.
one was horseshit.
I think of the two matched
It just
together.
shows you how stupid Superman is in general. Let me fly around the Earth backwards.
Oh, that was stupid. I hated that. But then I was 7 years old when it came out. And I give things when I'm 7 years old more of a chance than I do today.
But then
just
you're
like-
influenced by nostalgia. When you look back on it, you're like, that was...
Yeah, I am. I don't
You know,
mind.
even though when I was 7 back then, watching that movie, I was still like, they picked that to be Lois Lane? What the hell?
When I was 7, I wasn't thinking as sexually as you were, obviously.
No, it wasn't that. It was just, I was like, is that a guy? It's Margot Kidder, for God's sake.
Although they've made some better choices for Lois Lane recently. Did you watch the last Superman movie? The
No.
Superman is Jesus movie?
No. Was that the newest one? Like,
Yeah.
that came out, like, kind of
Yeah.
recently?
It-
Oh,
2
no.
years ago, I
can't
think.
stand superhero movies for the most part, so I'm always
Well,
like,
you're lucky because most superhero movies suck.
yeah.
They do, generally.
In general, they suck. That movie had extra suckage. It really did. It retold the story of Jesus through Superman.
Superman, Jesus allegory. You know.
Yes, and at one point he's floating above the earth, and I've even seen this in Christian tracks.
Yes.
I have seen this with Jesus floating above the earth like this, looking down and crying. And at one point in the movie, Superman is floating above the earth with his arms out. Was he crying in the movie? I just saw it
set
here.
it up. You got to set it up. Like 10 minutes before that, Lex Luthor once again
On a land deal, always
on
a land deal,
with a shiv of kryptonite. Basically comes up on his
and
Superman,
shakes him in the side like Jesus was shaked by the
So,
Longinus,
of course,
the
he's
spear.
like, falls over.
Blurred.
I forgot how. I think he broke it off, and then the skin
Yeah.
healed or something. They had to find some special way to get it out. Then right after that, he flies above the clouds, gets this awesome suntan, flies back down, and the land deal was a island, wasn't it?
Yes, made out of kryptonite.
Made of kryptonite. So he
no,
flies under
this is
it
a continent
and picks
made
it,
of kryptonite.
and picks it up. The substance, the only substance in the world that can kill him. Picks it up and flies into space with it, right?
Yes, he flies into space with it.
Even though 10 minutes before, a piece that long
Had killed him.
almost killed him.
No, it didn't. Almost. He was dead. He was in the hospital dead.
Oh, okay.
He
So
came
Superman
back to life.
Out of body experience.
Remember, he was Jesus. He died and came back
I was
to life
probably-
to save the world.
At this point, I was.
Superman is a crap superhero anyway. He's a
Oh,
total,
don't
like,
say that.
he's
I
a
love
total
Superman.
pusher.
Oh,
He is a crap superhero.
I love Superman. I love the idea of Superman. Superman is one of my favorite heroes.
Oh, let's have the superhero that just has all these fucking powers. And
I understand.
almost
I don't
no
like him
weaknesses.
given
Somebody
more and more
explained it
powers.
really well one time, taking a sort of sci-fi perspective that explained all of his superpowers, and how it explained it was like he can manipulate the mass of objects. So he can like see through things and lift himself up because he makes himself less dense than the air and all this stuff. It was really kind of cool. But
when John Byrne took over Superman when I was a kid, he is his take on Superman was that Superman had telekinetic powers, that all his powers were from his brain, that his invulnerability it was just because he believed he had these things. He believed he could fly, but he had telekinetic powers that make him fly. That's why his outfit didn't. He had, he could force his invulnerability a few millimeters out from his skin. So that's John Byrne. That's who.
I saw many DC comics that had pictures of his little blankets he was wrapped in, and Martha can't find his
That was
ways
the
to sew
original
outfit.
Golden Age or Silver Age Superman. We're talking Byrne in the 80s.
Because a baby blanket from Krypton could stop a nuke.
According to the Golden and Silver Age Superman, yes, it probably could.
Because I remember there's like a picture of.
Let's not hate on Superman now. Let's hate on somebody else. I love Superman. That's my. Let's hate on Batman.
What about Spider-Man? Spider-Man's really whiny.
Spider-Man is only whiny because you saw the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
I only saw one of them, but he was kind of whiny.
Which one?
The first one.
Tobey Maguire, whiny Spider-Man.
Have you seen the new one?
Yes, I've seen the new one. I have.
I've heard it's good.
like
I haven't seen it yet.
The character. I see. There's a movie I like. It's horribly flawed, but they're. The problem is the movie. The person playing Spider-Man, I can't remember what was the guy's name.
I don't even know.
I don't know either. This is bad. If you're listening to this and you're part of the movie industry, you need to have people know what your character's name, the actors' names are. Or nobody's going to care if he's in a movie.
Yeah, so next time you make a movie, make sure you come to our house and make sure we know who that is.
I know who Tobey Maguire is because I can't stand any movie he's in except for Pleasantville. Okay. Hey, I like that movie.
I recognize their faces.
I do recognize their faces. And what's her name is in it? Oh, God, I love her, too.
Oh, the new one?
Yeah, she's blonde in the one. That's why I can't think of her name.
Oh, she's in the movie Easy A.
Yeah. These people are going to think we're idiots because we can't remember these people's names.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
Anyway.
You have a computer right there.
I know, I could look it up, but it's doing other things like taping what we're saying, and it's actually... We're streaming live onto the internet right now.
Oh, my gosh.
There are like 2 people listening to us.
Yeah.
So...
No pressure.
Yeah. What was I going to say?
Actress, something.
Oh, who cares about the actress? The person playing Spider-Man plays Spider-Man more like he is in the comics. He's a smart-ass.
Big time smart-ass.
In the comics, that is all Spider-Man is a smart-ass teenager. The guy that plays Spider-Man in this new movie is a smart-ass teenager. That made the movie for me. Everything else in the movie just sucked. The origin story sucked. They cut out what would have made the origin story make sense because supposedly his parents had genetically engineered him to be Spider-Man. So when he was bitten by the spider, it brought out the traits that they'd already put in him. But when they tested it with the audience are like, ooh, his parents are evil. So they took that entire thing out of the movie. So the movie sort of skips, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Why? This doesn't make any sense why he turned into Spider-Man. So, because the whole point, Spider-Man turns into Spider-Man for the same reason the Lizard turns into the Lizard.
Because he was trying to find a way to...
Because they were using the same serum on the baby Peter Parker that they used on Doc Connors.
So how did the serum make him the Spider-Man, but
because
turn him into a lizard and
because Spider-Man rewrote rewrote the formula that his father had created and added the lizard stuff into it, added the lizard DNA into it.
So he's responsible for the lizard.
Yes, Spider-Man
so
fixed.
Lizards are less creepy than spiders, but the lizard becomes the bad guy. Just saying.
Well, Spider-Man looks just like a guy.
Yeah,
the lizard
looks like a big giant lizard.
Looks like
a small
Godzilla.
Yeah,
a human raptor.
My favorite scene in that movie is there's a scene where the lizard has knocked a car over the side of the Brooklyn Bridge.
The minivan?
The minivan. And Spider-Man's holding it, with his webbing. And there's a kid in the minivan. He's got everybody out except for the kid. And the kid can't climb up to where Spider-Man is, and Spider-Man's having to hold the minivan. And so Spider-Man throws his mask down to this kid and tells him, "You'll if you put this mask on, you'll be strong like me."
No, I remember the kid's freaking out because of how he looks in the costume, so he pulls the mask off.
Yeah, and then later,
like,
but he throws.
I'm just a human. I'm just a kid. I'm just a normal guy.
But he throws the mask down.
The mask falls.
Yeah.
Because the webbing breaks, and Spider-Man has to grab another web in the back of the minivan. Like
Whatever. The whole point is, he tells the kid if he puts the mask on, he'll be strong enough to climb up, which the kid does. Wonderful movie scene. Probably my favorite scene of the movie. The rest of the movie,
I've only seen the preview, but that scene did look really awesome.
The rest of the movie pretty much sucked. The whole lizard didn't make any sense. Gwen Stacy, I like her, but I can't stand blondes. So, well, you know, I have a thing for brunettes and redheads, so I wasn't. And of course, I'm the only one who's seen this movie. We shouldn't talk about this movie because nobody else has seen it.
I haven't seen it.
And you would be going, "This is the greatest movie ever made."
No, I wouldn't.
And I'd be going, "It's
John?
flawed. It's flawed. It's
Why
flawed."
would I be saying it's the greatest movie ever made?
You say that all the time.
I do not say that all the time. I went and saw Ghost Rider.
Was
the
Avengers
movie fucking sucked.
Oh, good, because I thought
talk about how that Ghost Rider is. I've seen that. We can all talk about it.
Okay, that movie sucked.
Which one?
All of them.
There's only two.
Well, I know.
The second one was worse than the first one.
They're all. That's what I'm saying. They're all bad.
Well, they're all bad, but you got to get levels.
It has that actor in it, and I can't stand that actor.
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage.
No, his face freaks me out.
I really like
His
Nicolas
hair
Cage
freaks
in
me
some
out.
of the movies he's been in. I did not like him in Ghost Rider.
No. There's been a few movies I have liked him in. Ghost Rider is not it. He's not Johnny Blaze.
Let's discuss zombie movies for a minute.
Okay.
Because I am not looking forward to World War Z.
Oh,
Is it ever going to get made?
Yes, it's being made.
It's being made, but I think they went like way over budget or something, and I'm like, that's not a movie.
They've changed the writers.
No, you should not.
They've changed the writers a couple times. I think 3 times now. Because they can't get a script that works.
Why don't they just go ask Max Brooks? Or why don't they just use his fucking book?
Yeah,
Max Brooks is a
book?
hack. And
how's he a hack? He wrote the book.
Because the book is horrible.
Why is the book hard? You hate books too, John.
No, I hate that book. I hate World War Z.
Why do you hate World War Z? This is going to
be good. The Battle of Yonkers. Perfect example of why the movie will suck and why the book did suck. You've got tanks lined up across Yonkers. There are 8 million zombies coming at you across the bridge.
Let's see where this is going.
You could have drove your tanks up and back and forth across the bridge and killed all of the zombies. Somehow, the zombies overcome the tanks and turn all the people in the tanks into zombies. Those tanks can go for days and days and days. 8 million people is nothing to a battalion of tanks. I know people that are in the Third ID who would have been the people at the Battle of Yonkers. Zombies would not have beaten the military.
You cannot say that.
How does a zombie beat a tank? How does 1 million zombies?
1 million zombies.
They can't get to the tank. You're only going to be able to get so many to the tank.
If the tanks were all closed up, I could see how they could just keep going without having zombies.
But the tanks have machine guns inside them with thousands of bullets.
And what are controlling the tanks and the machine guns?
People
Everyday
inside.
People. And what are you firing
with
at?
Air conditioning and computers and...
I think there is the psychological element of it being
exactly.
like you're freaked out because you're like, okay, well this is some enemy, because in the story they're saying like, yeah, you guys are fighting an enemy or whatever, and what happens is they're like, these don't look like enemies, and they're not dying like regular enemies.
And they're
initially.
children zombies, and that would.
They're zombies. I guess I
they didn't
come from the.
That it was zombies.
I come from the. If zombies happened right now, and there are a little kid zombie running around outside, I would blow it away and not even think about it.
Well, that's because we've at this point in time we've been so exposed, and the story of World War Z is it was kind of like they didn't know what was happening. They didn't know it was zombies. They didn't know what was going on.
It's kind of like The Walking Dead. In The Walking Dead, they haven't even used the word zombie in the comic book till like over issue 50, because in that world there was no zombie movies, no zombie myths, anything. It's just like all of a sudden dead people are walking around.
Yeah.
Still, just a few of those tanks could have destroyed the 8 million zombies.
If those people in those tanks would have acted like machines.
No,
Which they
if
should
would've
have.
just-
They should have,
Yes.
but they might not.
Then they should have went.
They could have freaked out.
Hey, I'm calling in an airstrike for blah blah blah
And
blah.
what if the person they're calling isn't there anymore? What if they've been overrun by zombies?
Well,
at this
obviously the
command
military still existed at that point. It wasn't that bad. I mean, New York.
It did end it with an airstrike, but it was. I didn't understand that part. Some technical bomb that was weird in it.
Well,
It's
any
like some
any
vacuum effect.
fuel air bomb would have destroyed zombies.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
is how they kind of
but they were-
technically ended it.
If I remember correctly, in World War Z, what they talk about, like after the war, they were still mapping zombie herds roaming around under the ocean.
yes.
Even after
Yeah.
everything was still
But-
safe, but you couldn't
But
really
how
go to the
does
beach.
how
You just didn't
does
know when somebody's
a
fucking
military?
walking
They beat the zombies at the end of the movie. I mean, at the end of the book, by using a Napoleonic military tactic,
Yeah, it was really simple.
which
It was kinda
they were in
straightforward and
squares and kill. But zombies can't get in tanks. Why didn't they just drive tanks? Well, at that point, there's still tanks around, plenty of them. Supposedly, people are. Why not just get in a tank, drive around, and run zombies over?
I'm sure there might have been some people who thought that was a good idea, but I don't know if it's necessarily practical for the military to just have people driving around in circles with their tanks doing like donuts over zombies.
I'm
It would have worked a lot quicker. Than
I'm a full believer in Murphy's Law, and I know my luck. If I was to get into a tank,
there would be a zombie inside it.
no, not in Abrams because you're only in this little room in the front and nobody can get to you. But you start driving back and forth, and all of a sudden something happens and it breaks down, or you get stuck, which can happen in a tank.
Yeah, but
And
if
all
you've
of a
got
sudden, all the
3
zombies-
other tanks with you as backup, it's not going to really be that big a problem.
You don't know this.
Plus, you can sit in that Abrams for weeks. You'll be, da-da-da-da-da.
I'd rather sit someplace else besides in the cockpit of an Abrams, surrounded by 5,000 zombies. Here I'm in this little room about this.
I'd rather be in.
Yeah, I
Looking
I'd,
out these 3 little viewports, and all I can see is people trying to eat me.
I'd much rather be in the Abrams than in a Napoleonic square with 10,000 zombies
I'd
around.
much
me.
rather be in Alaska where it's so cold that the zombies come that way, they're going to freeze solid.
I just
I thought
think
that was interesting. I like that part of the story with the people.
I'm
going
not a fan of Max Brooks and the book. What I like about in zombie movies, I think you should leave the military out of it most of the time, because I think when you add the military in, almost universally the military would be able to deal with a zombie outbreak. Especially in our world. In our world, there is no way a zombie outbreak, other than maybe a 28 days later bloodborne air zombie thing, would stop the military.
That's where you go with how is it transmitted.
Yeah, it comes
Yes.
to the really nitpicky specific
Ramiro,
parts about
a
that.
Ramiro zombie apocalypse, the military would have that beaten days.
Wasn't that how the end of the movie had? The original Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
had it
and
under
the-
control. It was
the
just like
National
a night,
Guard.
basically.
Yeah, at the end of but then you've got Dawn of the Dead, which the military loses, basically.
Well, that's
I know.
I've
And
never
then
seen those
then
ones.
Land of the Dead, where
those
Vince-
are like a whole other ball of worms.
well, I love the Dawn of the Dead. The old Dawn of the Dead and the new Dawn of the Dead are both 2 of my favorite zombie movies.
The new Dawn of the Dead?
I love the new Dawn of the Dead.
I
Oh
do
my
too.
god, fast zombies are great.
Oh,
Well, I
that's
like-
tons of fun. I like it when you throw in elements that people aren't expecting. Like you're like zombie, shoot them in the head. They're slow, but then when you start mixing it up, like they're fast, or it doesn't kill them to shoot them in the head or something. Like
Yeah, you have
that's
that
mixing
in.
it up, and it gets really fun.
You have that doesn't stop them to shoot them in the head in what's the other zombie movies that were made in the 70s? The one with the chick, the punk rock chick that has sex on the tombstone.
Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead.
The comedy.
There is nothing you can do to stop those. You chop their heads off, the bodies will still be coming at you. The arms will be coming at you.
Yeah, that's when things get really intense.
But that was a
So when you have
comedy.
those
It was a
kinds of-
comedy, and there was no way to stop those. Once that zombie apocalypse started, nothing could stop it.
Which one was it that had the Michael Jackson zombie when they fry them all at the electrical plant? Remember they were all out
Oh,
there
that's
and
the second one.
And they
That's
start
where
frying them, and that
yeah.
one zombie walks out dressed like Michael Jackson, just turns around and starts doing that. This hobby is just humor.
I realize it's a humorous, but that's the kind of zombie nobody can beat, because when they burn and you inhale them, you turn into a zombie.
Did they turn right then, or
No, it takes a while. Because remember in the first movie, they're in the crematorium, and they burn the zombie, and they inhale the gas. They inhale
That's
the
right.
gas, and they start turning. Well, that's actually the second movie, but
Yeah.
it's those zombie movies. I really don't like those. I like to have a way out.
Yeah. A little safety net.
Yeah.
Comforting.
Have you seen the trailer for Cockneys versus Zombies?
No.
That's going to be a good movie. It's
That's
Shaun of the Dead with guns.
Shaun of the Dead was silly. I enjoyed Shaun of the Dead, but I'm not big on, like, gory parts. And so I enjoyed it all the way up until the end where the guy gets ripped apart. And I was like, this has been pretty cool so far. Why did they throw that part in? It was totally unnecessary.
It's a zombie movie. You're supposed to have gore in a zombie movie.
I know.
You have to.
You
have to have gore.
I don't mind like biting and like blood and maybe like parts laying around, but there's a line and it's a really vague, fuzzy line.
Ramiro
cross it, it gets
created the what has to happen in each and every zombie movie, and that's why Simon Pegg went with, because he's what would happen in Great Britain if Ramiro's zombie apocalypse happened, and we don't have any guns, we've got to hit people with cricket bats. Oh, the Americans are much luckier.
It was. I enjoyed Zombieland.
Zombieland
was a
funny.
fun one. I liked it because it was fun and it wasn't necessarily.
That
about
was another
the
one of those,
zombies.
to me, definitely comedy zombie
Yes.
movies.
There are several
I like
things.
those.
I loved Woody Harrelson in that movie. I thought that the movie really took off when they got to what's his name,
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray's house.
Yeah.
That is the best part of that movie, is the parts that are in Bill
The
Murray's
crack
house.
about Garfield.
Yes.
And me falling on the floor in the theater.
That part of the movie was the best part, and them introducing the little kid to Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that. I feel so old, and I have friends that I've never seen that movie. What? How could you have not seen that movie? Where have you been for the last? You weren't even born. Oh, like you.
I've seen Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but
in that regard, I'm good.
In that regard, but I can imagine there being some movie that I've seen when I was a
probably.
kid,
Probably.
and I'll be like, "Well, I want to talk about this."
I watched that movie. I watched the Year of the Sex Olympics.
Okay, we can talk about your
That was a cool movie. It kind of lost me right at the end because it was one of those 60s, 70s movies where things go really slow and then all of a sudden like stuff happens in 2 minutes.
Yes.
And you're like, what just happened?
That is.
But it was fun. I liked it.
That movie has to be one of the most thought-provoking movies I have ever watched, and it's so far ahead of its time. I mean, it's about reality TV, made in 1968. How the hell did they even know about reality TV? It didn't even exist.
No, how back then?
And you probably didn't watch it, did you?
I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
You need to watch this movie.
And how like simplified the reality TV is. Like they're just like base emotions.
Yeah, well, that's all they wanted to.
Yeah.
They wanted to
And
take
you can already
those
see
emotions.
that in like reality TV now.
Yeah.
It's just like food, sex, drama. Like that's all they're about. So
That's the
it's
point of
pretty-
reality TV is to make the viewer apathetic.
Yeah.
You don't want to go out and grab a possum out of a tree because we've got this turtle man that'll grab a possum out of the tree for you, and you can watch it and laugh at him when he gets bit.
Are those the guys who like, or do they also like catch catfish with their hands? Like let the catfish.
Those
dive
are,
in them, or
That's
is
the
that something
hillbilly.
Yeah, hillbilly hand
Hand
fishing.
fishing.
else? Oh yeah.
But that's what
really
these,
weird.
That's what these
That's
shows
awesome.
are exactly doing. You don't need to do it yourself. You can laugh at these people who do this.
Well, shows like
Yeah.
that, I do agree with that because I'm not stupid enough to stick my hand underwater in a log because I know what snapper turtles do, especially the real big ones.
In this movie,
I
at
like
the
my
end, they
hands.
discover that there's an artist who starts paying, and his art is horrible. But
yeah, it's like it's really
it's like
weird.
childish,
It's just-
but nobody's
yeah.
done any art for years. This is like 100 years in the future from 1968. Nobody's done any art. And so he shows his art on television. And it causes an emotional response because all the art they have is meant to
It's really
deaden.
vague,
Yeah, it's really
yeah.
it's abstract. Everything they do is abstract. So it's meant to deaden all emotion. That's what television is about, deadening emotion. So he shows this on television, and everyone is
And it makes
really
people
upset
upset.
because they see this horrifying image, and it's created an emotion in them.
I love the ditzy character.
Oh,
Who's in there, and she's just like, and she just screams for like 2 minutes when she sees it.
Yes.
And she's just like, like screaming and like freaking out. I'm just like, oh, that's funny. What a silly character.
But her character is so like modern American cinema characters. When I saw her, I thought Kardashian.
Yeah, she's a modern American celebrity, essentially,
Yeah.
is how she operates. And she was a celebrity because
Yeah,
she was on that
she
show,
was
so.
she was the
The
sex sports
sports sex, yeah, she's
yeah.
the sports sex announcer. So
there's several different programs. You haven't seen it. There's like sports sex, art sex.
I like the Hungry Angry show.
Hungry
That was
Angry,
pretty cool.
yes, Hungry Angry. Hungry Angry is where you take food and you hit people with it.
Yeah, they're just like
And then
throwing
you eat
food at
it.
each other and like making like these angry guttural noises and like throwing food and rubbing food on themselves. And it was
But
really
this is the future of reality. See, they come back and start doing reality TV shows like we have them now.
yeah, with the life show, the
Life show. That was
and the fact that the guy was manipulating it, so it really wasn't how life
No,
is. He was manipulating it for the entertainment value.
yeah.
So
He
that
was.
was cool.
It,
The director of the show.
did you notice the chess set?
Yeah, the chess set that was moving itself.
They did
They just
not
played it
tell
as
the
it
chess. They did not play the chess set. They watched the chess set,
Yeah, you put in like a little card and it played.
And it
like, a
played
thing of
itself.
chess for you.
and you watched it. Because everyone in that society is being told to be a voyeur. You do nothing. There is no activity. You are not supposed to create or do. You are supposed to watch.
Yeah, they said that several times, like watch,
Yeah.
not do.
Yeah. Let the computer think for you, because that's what the computer is for.
And I liked the old man character, the older guy who knew what it was like
yeah,
before. But he was like, no, we don't want that. We don't want that kind of life. Let's enjoy this. And then at the very end,
He's
when he
horrified
realizes,
by what has happened.
what's going on, and he's just like really shaken up about
That
it. That was a cool moment.
That is probably the best movie, whatever television. It was a television show in '68. That's one of the best things I've seen in years. And nothing has made me think like that particular. Anyone listening to this, go to the website, the Freehold, and look and watch the movie.
Just scroll down a little bit.
Just scroll down a little bit. It's there. It's somewhere. Just type in Sex Olympics. You will find it. It's great. Did you watch Transatlantic Tunnel?
No, I didn't. I was really late. I was tired. So
Transatlantic
I was
Tunnel is great on a different plane. It's great by looking at the background scenery. The story itself is okay, but the things that happen in the background are really great, and you can find that on the Freehold also. I think we're going to wrap up the podcast. I don't know how long we've been doing this.
I have no idea.
But I think we've started to tone down now that we talked about the Sex Olympics. I know, and Sex Olympics sounds so... I think that's why a lot of people haven't seen it. It's because they're like, oh, it's a porn movie. It is not a porn movie. There is one scene of graphic nudity in the entire movie.
And it's not even really that graphic.
No.
I think it's just... It's boobies.
Yeah, it's not...
boobies.
It's nothing... There's no pornographic material in the movie, even if it's called The Year of the Sex Olympics. It's really about reality television. So, signing out, this is Jonathan Baird.
William Mayfield.
Georgia Ballard.
And we're out.